I'm holding it underneath a faucet with the water on, and it's hard to figure out like how many holes I got to plug up at the bottom. So that's why it's always half empty. It's like, ah! So anyway, yeah, we got a thumbs up from him on that. So we can start anytime that we want to.
That's right.
Anytime that we want to. So, yeah.
Preferably sometime, though.
Yeah, preferably sometime.
Like,
I'm working up to it.
Sometime near now.
Yeah.
It's a drum roll.
One of the 23 ingredients of this drink, I'm waiting for it to kick in. Is that what it is, ingredients? Or is it blend of, no, flavors? Never mind. Anyway, welcome to the NerdBrand Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Davis. This is Mitch Gregory, our creative director. This is Michaela Meek, our account associate. And today we're talking about DTC branding. What is it? Yeah, no, another term.
Yeah. Another set of initials.
Yeah. But, you know, if you Google it, we're like at the top of the list on page 1. So,
For DTC.
yeah, DTC branding. And I think for marketing too, because they kind of do, they overlap for a reason. Maybe we'll hit on that and get into that. But hey, Michaela.
Yeah.
You want to see if Google got it right and read the what it says about DTC brand, what it means, what it is?
Love to. A D2C brand controls all parts of the selling experience, from manufacturing the product, marketing, and then selling it online directly to their target and end users. Note, marketing is not before brand here.
Yeah. So there's a lot of terms and bleed over from D2C branding and D2C marketing and what they are. And it still comes down to the same old thing of what's strategy, what's tactics. Because you're not going to do D2C marketing if you don't know anything about the product that you're trying to communicate across an ad.
Right.
I mean, it seems like common sense, but it does not register. It's just, I need to get this sold. What are you selling? My stuff. What stuff? This stuff.
What kind of stuff is it? What kind of people want that stuff?
Okay.
What sets your part different from other people's stuff?
Right. Why is your stuff different than his stuff?
Yeah. Why is your ice cream different than that? Why is your Coke different than that? You know? Yeah, exactly. There's a thought process that's got to come before that in D2C branding. So, but there's also just getting name recognition and the power of that and how that saves money actually on marketing because the brand's trustworthy. We've talked about that a lot, like with Coca-Cola. They don't do a whole lot of marketing. They don't really have to.
Yeah, you're also 100 and something years old.
There's that. That's a legacy brand. But do you all know of any other brands that you're like, you know what? They do all right. Like, you have any in your head?
Amazon. Since we're talking D2C.
Well, they do shipping and logistics. So I don't really look at Amazon as, I know they sell products and I know there's that.
They're like the mothership of all
They really are.
Yeah. A lot of DC brands are on Amazon.
Right.
So
They can. It's kind of they're the thing, but they also facilitate the thing.
yeah.
For other things.
Yeah.
For all the things.
There's been a lot of them in the news, negative news. You know, I think it was a Netflix documentary about them. And John Oliver Tonight, I think, whatever that show is on HBO Max, I think he did a segment that kind of went, at least on Reddit, I would say viral. It was trending for sure last week or earlier this week rather. He was talking about like basically how Amazon is when they started out with the books and the resellers and the bullying that went on to the publishers, and some of the publishers they actually interviewed on this documentary, and they were like, yeah, you know, there were some that were not willing to speak. Why are you not willing to speak? It's just a very weird.
Well, it's, you know, not to cross into a whole other topic, but when a brand becomes so strong and so powerful, I mean, another brand comes to mind, Walmart.
Yeah, they had that for a while.
That had that same kind of sort of a reputation. Because they carry so much weight, they can pretty much get whatever they want from the brands that they want to distribute. It's kind of it's a kind of an inevitability when a brand gets that big and that strong that they can dictate the terms.
Yeah. I mean,
do you want to be a part of me? Well, then you got to do things the way I say you do.
There was something that came up recently too about like being number 2 and they're striving to be number 1. And I'm like, you don't want to be number 1. Number 1 gets all the bad rep, all the heat.
It's too much pressure.
Yeah. like Target's number 2. I don't know if they are anymore, but in comparison to Walmart, they were always like the number 2, and they were like okay with that because Walmart got all the heat and the bad press.
Yeah. And what's interesting?
Like there's a people at Walmart.com for a reason.
Right, and this gets into the whole differentiation thing because in a lot of ways, Target appeals to a different consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some crossover. There's people that go to Walmart and also go to Target. I mean, I do, but I go to them for different things.
Yeah, but
for different reasons.
I remember early morning. I don't know why I was there, but I remember walking into a Target and the shift leader was doing a meeting and was educating, I guess, the new people like our competition is not Walmart. Our competition is Amazon.
That's everybody's.
Yeah.
That's everybody's.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but again, still, it's really interesting because a lot of the D2C brands that are on Amazon that sell their product, they're also in Walmart and in Target. Like they haven't abandoned those outlets because I don't see how you could. It just doesn't make any sense to not have it on a shelf or online. Mm-hmm. You kind of want both.
Yep.
So
there's for some products, there's a reason to be in both places.
Yeah.
It's a matter of waiting. Like, do you want to wait 2 days for this product to be shipped to your doorstep, or do you just want to get in your car and go pick it up where you know it is?
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about conveniency and when you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen like a lot of the next day, same day with Amazon in your areas where you live?
Oh, I'll be browsing through looking for things, and it'll say same day certain things. I mean, it still kind of amazes me that they have a system in place that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you, Michaela?
I have not. I've heard, I think you were talking about it, how you ordered something and it was like, boom, there,
Yeah.
doorstep in one day, and like less than a day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys heard of GoPuff?
Yeah, you've mentioned that.
Yeah, that's an interesting brand on this topic because, sorry to interject.
No,
but I was
no,
just-
no,
you're good.
I was just thinking about like the future of something like that is really interesting because they're kind of like the mini local Amazon in a sense. Is they're established as almost a like a mobile Walgreens in a sense. All of your essentials are there,
Right.
And you're able to get your Coke, your ice cream, your Chef Boyardee
Bottle of gin.
all that kind, and a bottle of gin too, your beer, everything like that. They'll be there in a half an hour to 15 minutes, and I'd be curious to see more companies pop up like that. Rather than having a huge warehouse like Amazon has, where they have no choice but to kind of maybe same day delivery. But if there's local businesses popping up like that deliver very, very quickly, and I guess Kroger and Target and all of those, they're starting to do that, right?
Well, my brother works in operations for Kroger, and there's a couple of big projects he's been working on with them up in Cincinnati and in Atlanta. They are building huge, completely automated warehouses for online ordering. It's not just where they warehouse the product; it's where the product is, and then in an automated fashion, it picks the orders and packs them to be delivered. So, Amazon's the king, but everybody else is following their model, and there's going to be competition for a lot of the things that Amazon kind of spearheaded.
Yeah.
For a long time, because they lean a little bit into that semi-grocery space a little bit.
When they bought Whole Foods, they really kind of did. Like Amazon has so much power, and as part of this documentary that's out there, they have so much power by kind of like Elon Musk. Whenever he tweets something, people just go like, okay. It's kind of like that. It's a little bit ridiculous, but that's kind of the power of a brand, and when you have that power to leverage to move an industry or to move a policy or legislation in just a mere tweet.
No, but in the ecosystem though, it works that way in nature and it works that way with economics. Somebody comes up with a really great idea that a mass of people grab onto, and that inertia, it works to their advantage. It was their idea. Don't hate them because they're successful. That doesn't mean somebody 5-10 years down the road is not going to come up with another idea that's going to circumvent or overtake that original idea.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the marketplace.
Yeah, but I think that's to the thing about the documentary, because Amazon, when you talk about D2C, you can't really ignore the elephant in the room with them.
No. Well, it goes back to what you were saying, though. I mean, when you're number one, people want to pick on you. They want to find a reason to find fault with your
Well,
success.
Find those outliers.
Yeah,
Right.
and I do think that there is some fault with them. I mean, they've kind of grown to the point, the whole issue with unions and everything else. That's kind of, in my opinion, a little legitimate when you get to that point, because their competition, like FedEx and UPS, have them, and it's Amazon is very anti-union. They were going to build, it was like a $5 billion type investment. They were going to go to New York, and they ended up splitting the investment across 2 cities. In New York was one, I forget the other one. And they went to New York, and they met with the city council, and the mayor and the governor of New York, New York City mayor and the governor of New York was like, yeah, come on in, it'd be great, awesome. Amazon was like, cool, awesome, we'll go. And then they met with the, city council, New York City Council. They asked one question: would you be open to unions? And the guy that was there, was in charge of this, was like, no. It wasn't Bezos, it was somebody else. And he was like, no. And he's like, how in the hell can you come to a town that has unions and say no and refuse?
Well, because they can.
Exactly. So I don't know if that deal went through. This is like recent. This isn't like, long time, once a time ago in a galaxy far away. This is like very, very recent.
Yeah.
And, that's sort of the power they have, is to pull investments out. That's loss of jobs and everything else. But then when you talked about like warehouses going into automation, there's a couple of things for that I feel that, in this opinion, one is the unions. That's the way to get away from the union worker issue. But two, we've kind of seen a fling of fires and tornadoes, and some people got hurt. They were working there.
It's just when you.
So you're kind of like,
Gotta choose your battles.
Well, and there's a practicality to it, because when the evolution in buying is this instantaneous delivery, or delivery within these really narrow windows.
Mm-hmm.
People can only do so much. If you can automate the system in such a way that it can fill and pack the order, or pick and pack the order more quickly and more efficiently, in the end, you want to make the customer happy. That's job one.
Yeah.
That's your job. Your job isn't making the things or selling the groceries. Your job, no matter what business you are, is to make the consumer happy.
yeah.
Consumers are finding a lot of happiness in being able to get online or get on their device, buy that toothbrush,
All right.
and have it delivered tomorrow.
Well, the thing is that it's with DTC branding, it's about trust. And Amazon knows that. And they've got their stuff wired up to where, and it's proven that the buy now button, that's going to be on most products sold by Amazon, delivered by Amazon. That's in small print, but it's there if you read it. And I've been through my phone, and I was like, when I saw this, I was like, no, say it ain't so. So I got my phone out, and I started going through the app on Amazon. I started looking at all the stuff that I would buy, everything from coffee to toilet paper to whatever, or even just a weird, like, orange handkerchief, And I'm looking through, and I'm seeing where the buy button comes up. And then I look at, like, well, who's the seller? Oh, it's Amazon. Who's the ship? Oh, Amazon shipping. Every single one. And I was like, okay, this is going to cause a problem. And it is. Like right now, they've got some legislation they're talking about, because this falls into the FTC's category of, monopolies and things like that, is why it's starting to fire up. When you got Bernie Sanders, very left wing, and you got another guy that's a Republican whose name I don't remember, is very right wing, and they agree on a thing, something's gone wrong.
Yeah. The whole idea, dominating the marketplace in such a way that people, the perception is that people can't compete. Yeah, that creates issues.
Yeah. Yes. I have an incoming breaking news. Beep, 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 beep.
This
Love
just
breaking
in.
that fourth wall, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna break that fourth wall. Let's just do that. Nobody cares.
Okay.
It's like Deadpool.
I found a good article I was looking at for like D2C brands, and like when it made me think about like when the .com stuff was really starting to come out with those brands, and like one of the first OG ones I can think of is Dollar Shave Club.
Yep, I actually had them on the list.
Yep.
Yeah. That was going to be the part we're going to get to on the show is like disclose your faves or things that you know, because like I said earlier, you think D2C, you think Amazon. Like, well, no, they're not a D2C brand.
I mean, they are, but they're
They are, but they aren't.
They also facilitate other direct to consumer.
But that's it, and that's the thing. So what I want is people to start to recognize that people are putting their products on there, and those are the D2C brands,
right? Like the individual brands themselves, selling their
Dollar
product.
Shave Club is definitely one of those OG brands, as Robert mentioned. Gray's is another one. Allbirds. Some of these I know people haven't ever heard of, but
they're everywhere.
But yeah, and you have to look at them. And there's some really cool ones that when you start to dig into them, if you get past the Amazon name and the post and where the product is, you start to dig into like those brands and then go to their websites and look at who they are and their branding. They're pretty cool, but that Amazon shadow is just
It's like a jungle, ironically enough.
yeah.
Don't a lot of those brands, like, they even have their own custom Amazon website? I've seen that before, like where they've set it up that way.
Yeah, a lot. I've noticed that with a lot of brands. When you're shopping at Amazon, you can go to our store, but the store page is it's an Amazon page.
Yeah.
But it's their presence within the Amazon universe.
What does that sound like in the world of the web? What does that sound like? Oh, I got to go online and I got to have a page on Amazon. Is that familiar? I'm just testing to see. There's not a wrong answer here. I'm just kind of curious if does that ring any bells to you all when you say you have to be in the place?
Facebook, it's like social. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much like social.
Or Google.
Well, yeah.
Like you got to be on the Googles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what everybody wants.
If you're not on the Googles, you don't exist.
Right.
And it's kind of like getting that way with Amazon, don't you think?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like their Google My Business page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite brand? We'll start with Mitch. We'll put you on the spot, Mitch, because I know you're not probably an Amazon shopper. You're more of a I'll drive to Target.
Well, I do. It depends on what I want. I have a lot of favorite brands. It just depends on what that particular product is. Like I mentioned before, Black Star Amps, British amplifier maker. I love their stuff.
What do you buy a lot of?
What I buy a lot of?
Online.
I buy a lot of different things. It's not like there's one thing I always go to online, but anymore, I don't know if this helps to propel the conversation, but the first place I go when I need anything is online.
Yeah.
Car parts, something for the house, Christmas shopping. I mean, most of the things I buy a lot of are groceries.
Non-perishables, of course.
Right. Well, just groceries. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, it does mine too. I kind of look at like Amazon. I go like, how much is Folgers? And then I look at Kroger's and I look at that and I go like, who's cheaper?
One thing I buy a lot of. I mean, as far as brand loyalty, I've discovered Tim Hortons.
Who?
Tim Hortons coffee.
I was just
Are you familiar with Tim Hortons?
No, I'm not.
Tim Hortons.
She got the Dr. Seuss reference is what I was getting at. But
Horton, here's a who? Tim Hortons is a brand that it's based in Canada, and they sell coffee and donuts. Mm-hmm. It's what they're known for. They're they're huge in the north.
They're all over Michigan.
Yeah,
everywhere in Michigan.
Yeah, in the Midwest and north states that border Canada. But their presence has grown in the United States, and we have a Keurig, and I'm always looking for different coffee. That's a neat thing about Keurig.
You have a Keurig?
Yeah.
Aren't you fancy?
Well, it's they're almost
a pinky out when you drink the cup too. Do you do that?
They're ubiquitous now. I mean,
I got me and my Black and Decker or whatever.
I got a Mr. Coffee.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, $15 from Walmart.
We had those too, but then at some point we saw a Keurig and it was on sale. I thought, why not? Okay.
Mitch is fancy, y'all. That's all.
The nice thing about a Keurig is you can try different coffees without brewing a whole pot.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to try something a little different today? I'll try this. Anyway, I picked up Tim Hortons. I love Tim Hortons coffee, so I buy a lot of Tim Hortons K-Cups. It's really good coffee.
Well, there you go.
And I know for you coffee snobs, the best coffee is still brewed. Believe me, I get that. But, people like Starbucks, which I used to buy a lot of their K-Cups, they've managed to maintain that quality flavor in that immediate need kind of Keurig format, which is, I'm sure is difficult. Because coffee is always best when it's fresh ground and fresh brewed. But.
Yeah, sometimes I've gotten whole bean coffee before, and I've got a grinder.
Yeah, we used to do
I use that too.
We did. We had a coffee maker that you poured the beans in one side, you set the timer, and at 6 a.m. it would grind the beans and brew the coffee.
Wow, that's a nice alarm.
That was the coolest thing.
It may be cool to you, but the person that's in the house sleeping as well that would like to sleep in is like, ah.
And the aromas of coffee stimulate their mind to wake up. Like, I guess it's time to get up.
Yeah, I was jarred awake by this noise, and now I have to get up, and there's something in my cup.
No, then we got then we got seduced by the cake.
That's part of waking up.
Then we got seduced by the immediate gratification of the K-cup. I mean,
I really appreciate you, Michaela, because it's like you pick up on all the weird references that come up. Sometimes I look at Mitch and John, and I think they just kind of pass over it and I know you haven't been like around with us very long, but I can tell at some point that's going to wear off, and you're just going to be like, Jesus, Jason, shut up.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Nah.
The puppet master.
Well,
Going back to that whole direct-to-consumer mentality, and Keurig kind of they feed into that. You want it now, you can have it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, immediate gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you got? What do you go to? What's your go-to?
I mean, I have a whole bunch, especially around Christmas. Amazon's a good one, but I have a lot of sports fans in my family. My sister's a Bears fan. My mom's a Giants fan for football. Anyway, I go to Fanatics. It's a great way to like have whether it's like home decor, blankets, sweatshirts, any sort of like attire. They have it narrowed down like by hockey teams, MLB. NFL, like all different kind, even college sports too. So that's convenient around the holidays. It knocks out a lot of shopping. I don't like to do a whole lot of clothing shopping for myself because I don't know what's gonna fit. So I like to be like,
I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah.
So, but there's this one company that's kind of reliable. It's called Shein. Whenever I'm going on a vacation, that's where I'd like to stock up on new clothes, and it's affordable.
Yeah.
My roommate, she found this one site. It's for plants. And they ship plants to your doorstep, like a lot of succulents and all different kinds of
Like houseplants.
Yeah, like houseplants, pretty much. I have a brown thumb. She's the green thumb in the household. The final one, which I feel like has been a little bit more prevalent, I guess. The Blue Aprons and the Fresh Eats ones. Whenever you go online, you pick meals that you want.
Yep.
And they ship them to your doorstep too.
That seems to me, I mean, you tell me what you guys think. That seems like it's become a really crowded segment.
Well, that's what I was going to address is like most of the space in D2C has become oversaturated with that and health and beauty and health. Yeah.
Yeah. The subscription boxes, I don't know if that kind of falls into that, but my wife does the FabFitFun box. Like once a month you get a box, and I guess I'm not sure how it works. I just see the box arrive, but it'll come with like different samples of lotions, soaps. She got one. It came with some exercise equipment in it, like stretch bands and stuff like that. I mean, it's really interesting because there's a variety of different things you can get month to month. So I can see where that keeps people hooked.
Yeah, yeah. In looking for a D2C brand, and you're like, again, you're probably a fan of it and you don't know it. There's that big shadow of Amazon over it, maybe. But starting a D2C brand is one of those things where you just can't jump into it. I had actually somebody, I had to talk to the guys here at Speakeasy about it because they want to start a podcast, and didn't really get any further than they approached us for that. And I was like, well, that's not really what we do. We do one. Right. We can help you with the artwork, name, all that, but I need to introduce the guy that busts in that's in the studio here to get in front of them and be like, you need to talk to them. Because it's sort of that way with DC brands. I mean, it's a lot of, you got to think about something unique. Again, we talked about differentiation earlier.
Right.
So what would be different other than selling t-shirts or more of the health and beauty stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are, okay, but it's become very difficult to find a D2C brand that doesn't fit in any of those other categories that somebody's not already doing, which has never been an argument necessarily for not doing a thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's a matter of, can you do it differently and hook into a desire or need that maybe isn't quite being met in some way. But it's getting harder because you look in the pet categories, if you look in the food categories, clothing categories. I mean, and even within like food and stuff, there's the subcategories. There's cheese subscriptions, there's nut subscriptions, there's meat subscriptions.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. That's a good point that you bring up. I mean, Amazon has ramped up the subscription buy option underneath everything because it benefits them and it benefits the seller.
I mean, there's always
convenient.
There's always just the benefit of being the new thing, even if it's not that different. If there's some little quality you can find about what it is you offer that scratches the itch just a little bit different, because that works to your advantage. Because everybody is looking for something new all the time now. Going back to that immediate gratification need that this marketplace is sort of facilitated. It doesn't take that much. The question is longevity. Can you stay? Will you have staying power? Will you have people a reason to keep coming back other than that first
Jay,
taste?
I wonder, Mitch, what's the mechanism that makes that happen?
I think it goes in brand differentiation and what is it about your product that makes you different that it again scratches that itch that isn't being scratched someplace else.
Yeah, but brand.
Right. That's the heart of branding. It was that unique quality that makes you different than everybody else. That's what makes you a brand. I mean, you can have a brand that's the same as everybody else. That doesn't mean people are going to come back and buy it.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me the other day, like, do y'all do personal branding? I'm like, yeah, but at some point it's going to turn into a business. I mean, that's going to happen. It's rare, but it happens. Tony Robbins is one, and it's just like, it's a dude. It's also a company.
And you're still marketing a product.
Yeah.
The product just happens to be a person and not.
Yeah. That person has to figure out a way to duplicate what they're doing with an employee they train. But they're under that person's name. That's all it is. That sounds a lot like a company. So the principles are pretty much, in my opinion, the same. It's the creative that may be different, obviously, because it's focused on a person versus a brand or a corporation or whatever. So there are ways that are different, but we've always said the principles are very much the same. Then it's advertising at the end of the day. You kind of can go back and look at old ads and go, hey, I've seen that before. Yeah, sometimes things get regurgitated. Right.
Care if I interject with one of my favorite D2C brands right now?
Yeah, please.
It's Moft. Have you seen that wallet that I carry around?
Yeah.
They make more than just that. Like I have they make really small, compact, versatile things that allow you, like tech type items that allow you to use them as stands. So I have one that goes on the back of my iPad that's really, really thin and small, and it, lets me use it as a stand. And then if I put it away, like you can barely even see it. And then my wallet actually sticks to the back of my phone. And it folds out like that and can be used as a magnetic stand for that. I have a stand-up desk from them that fits inside of my backpack. Like it's just this really small. I'll show you after the show. But, going on to what Mitch was saying with like differentiation part of D2C, is that's how like these newer companies, these newer product-based companies seem to make their success now, is instead of like trying to initially get with Amazon at first, or even get with the old way of doing it with like a Walmart or a Target. They create a really, really great website. They create a really, really visionary product, and then they first start selling it on their own directly from their manufacturing location. Moth does a really good job at that. I have a backpack, a Nomadic brand. They're a really, really good D2C brand that markets themselves really, really well. There's a lot of gi companies too for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You'll never find a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi company in the store because it's so niche. Right. But so they're all essentially D2C brands. So,
yeah.
But see, and it's D2C is perfect for niches, for that little. I don't want to say quirky because that I don't want to demean them, but they're a twist on a thing that exists that makes it unique.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can. It's just something different. People they want to try something different. Big companies may not have the budget to sell a small amount of something because they've got to produce it. Because that's the other thing in D2C. Like you got to work on supply, and then pricing, and then finally production. Right. And those are the biggest, most expensive pieces because we all know there's supply chain issues, but that production is like, you can't, I know some people that have had a hard time getting their product produced just to get it out to be distributed. So, big corporation's not going to produce a small amount of something niche because it just doesn't work out in the margins.
It's not cost effective.
Right.
What's interesting on the thing we've kind of danced around, or we've kind of walked around the periphery of it, but what has facilitated the explosion in D2C? What is it? It's the web.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it costs infinitely less to build a working web page than it does to build a brick and mortar store.
Yeah, e-commerce has evolved. It's just amazing. As a web developer, I look at like how you can build a store. And I used to be pretty, religious with WordPress and WooCommerce. And at one time they were separate entities. WooCommerce was owned by a company called WooThemes. And WooThemes was a theme club. They used to have those, and those were I think there's some that still exist, like Elegant Themes and all that. But anyway, WordPress is owned by a company called Automatic with 2 T's. That's a multi-million-dollar company, and they just went like, you know what, we'll take that. And they bought it.
We want that.
And they started fixing it. The community got involved, started fixing a lot of it. And I knew when that happened that it was going to be a lot easier to set up an e-commerce store because it's about the user, not about developers when it comes to WordPress. And then you got the Shopify. Shopify has really exploded, And Shopify does things very similar to WordPress and WooCommerce, but it does a lot more advertising than WordPress. It's kind of like, when's the last time you seen a Corvette commercial? You'll see probably a ton of Silverado commercials, but you don't see anything like, they're not going to roll out a Corvette commercial. They just don't need to. That's sort of how I differentiate it a little bit, but it does the same thing. Get you from point A to B if that's your goal. But setting up a store, it puts it in the hands of the user now to focus on what is on the site. And that's where we start to come in as a brand agency, like DIYing that can be deadly to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could put your store up online. Oh, I did really well that month. And then next month you didn't do anything. You're like,
and to me, it might be stretching the logic a bit, but if you were building a brick and mortar store, you probably wouldn't do that yourself because that's not what you're good at.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You hire a builder.
Why would you do it any different if you want to build an online store? Go to somebody who knows how to make your product or sell that product that's unique and you've found a market for. Let somebody who knows how to build a store to accommodate it do that.
Yeah.
It'll make your life infinitely simpler, and you'll have something in the end that works and does what it needs to do, and with an eye toward growth.
Yeah.
As your brand grows.
I mean, I know how to make a sandwich, but I know nothing about slaughtering a cow. So, not a butcher.
Right. Exactly. So, I think, it's the same kind of logic. I think
there's a clip for you, Robert.
If I could throw a piece of advice out there to somebody that's considering, developing a D2C product, service, or whatever, let an expert build your site and your store. You concentrate on getting that product made into the marketplace, and let somebody else build your store for you, just like you would if it was brick and mortar.
Or build the brand so that you can actually focus on new product development. You can start working on extensions. You can start working on things that are not just isolated products that do well now.
Yeah,
but trends come and go. People may not, I'm tired of that. I want something else.
Somebody who knows how to build the site, but also how to direct traffic to that site, how to get people to come to your store. It's the same principles as before the web. It's just geared toward a digital environment.
Yeah.
Now.
So if you're interested in D2C branding or DC marketing, you can find us at NerdBrandAgency.com and talk to Michaela and talk to Jonathan, please, because they're the ones that are going to have some answers for you to review it. Mitch and I, we kind of come in later, given that he's more creative and I'm the mechanic. Just what you called me.
He's your contractor.
Basically, yeah, I'm the web developer. So it's like, I live in code. I don't care what it looks like. I just need to make sure it works. But yeah, so contact Michaela, talk to her about it. She'd love to have a conversation if you've got an online brand that you'd like to start selling product with and develop. But anyways, we appreciate all of our listeners. You can find this episode at NerdBrand Agency across all the social medias. And you can also find it at nerdbrandagency.com/podcast or on YouTube. You can just Google NerdBrand Agency now and find everything where to go listen to it.
Yep.
Google's doing the job. We did something called branded search with that, and it's working fine. But we appreciate our listeners, and we want to tell you all out there to remember, keep your nerd brand strong.